welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a brand new release from Hollandspiele called Siege of Mantua. It's designed by Amabel Holland, and as you might be able to tell from the front of the box, this is a block war game covering the Siege of Mantua. So this is a two-player game, and block war games are almost always two-player. It's usually kind of a bit of a challenge to do them one player. You can, but the joy of block war games comes from them being two-player games, as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of the bluffing, the fog of war, not knowing quite what strength you're going up against. And quite famously, Amabel, the designer of this game, and she is not a big fan of block war games. So I'm very curious to see what her take on block war games is, because, I don't know, designing something outside of your comfort zone and or wheelhouse usually presents something a little bit different challenges, and who knows, we might get something extremely unique, which, it being a Hollandspiele game, is what I would expect, frankly. So, we're going to crack this open and see what we've got here. So first thing, we got a big bag of stuff. We will get to the stuff in just a second. So there's two dice in here. One is a regular D6, and the other one has some numbers on it. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64. So I have no idea what that's used for, but whatever it is, that's awesome. You never see dice like that, and a unique die is always something to be excited about. Here we have a single counter sheet. Oh, there's another D6 in here. I couldn't see that because this is a big 2-inch box. You don't get a lot of those from Hollandspiele. I think this one and Grass Crown are some of their... Oh, and Horse and Musket. The new version of Horse and Musket is a big 2-inch box. You don't get those very often. I couldn't see the die in there. So, here we've got our kind of infantry line units. So you can see here that they're kind of the elongated rectangles to represent kind of some frontage. It being a block war game, I think that's just kind of an aesthetic choice. But it looks like we've got two values on them, and then a little picture of a man on it as well. So that's what we're looking at with those. There's a whole bunch of those, and I don't know if you know this, but Blue Panther recently changed some element of their printing process. So this is published and put out by Hollandspiele, but the actual printing of the paper and the maps and the counters is done by Blue Panther. They changed the way they print, and so they don't have the cool smell that they used to. They just smells like a regular war game now. So some of you used to complain about that. They fixed it. Others of us used to love it because we're addicts, and sadly it no longer has that. So here's a look at the rules themselves. P.S. Always love it when you get a nice, bold picture on the front. Alright, the rules. So, explanation of all the different units and bits and pieces and how they're used, and then the actual rules themselves. 1 page, 2 pages. At best, that's 4 pages of rules. At best. If you remove all of those pictures and images and diagrams, it's a 4-page rulebook. But we do thankfully have all the pictures and images and diagrams. Should make this very easy to jump right into. So, always love a game that can get out of its own way with regards to the rules. Now we'll take a look at all the bits and pieces here in just a second, but let's crack open this wonderful bag and let's have a look inside. Because this isn't your average block war game. And I say that because you don't have to sticker these blocks. Also, I know I've got small hands, but these blocks are huge. This isn't your average block war game. So, you don't have to sticker them because this is printed onto the block. And I'm not any kind of a printer, and I don't really know how they do that stuff, but it's magic to me, and they look so good. These are a joy to play with, and you don't have that kind of initial kind of input of work, because when you get a Commands and Colors game and you've got to sticker all those blocks, that's a couple hours at least. For me, it's usually like 5 or 6 hours to do them all in those big games. Here, these are printed on the blocks. Also, it helps that there's not like a ton of them, but you know, they've got it. You can't get this off. I scratch it with my fingernail. That's on there. You're never going to peel them off. You're never going to damage them. If you get them wet, you know, not that big a deal. Don't spill your drinks on it, but that's just a general rule. And there's a couple of these green discs which are used to mark some of the tracks on the wall. But just wanted to kind of show these. These look wonderful. And they're big and they're tactile, and playing with these will, at worst, be very fun and enjoyable. So, back to the box, and we will tip everything else out that we've got in here. So, these are... Oh, this is very interesting. So, this is printed on Blue Panther's canvas. If you've used any of their canvas maps, or you've played things like, I believe Nicaea uses these, and Field of the Cloth of Gold also uses this stuff. It's this canvas material, and they've printed on it, so this has a really nice feel and texture to it. And it's, you know, you can kind of screw it up, and you're not screwing up a piece of paper in the same way that you might do. But here, I presume, when two armies meet, you're then going to bring out all of your assigned forces to those, and you're going to line them up in these different flanks and in the center, and you fight a little kind of a tactical battle. Oh look, there's tracks for your green pieces. Imagine that. So, battle board is what we're going to call it. And then the last thing that we've got in here is this very large, sumptuous map. And I just think this looks great. Oh, if I could get it open. Which I can't. Here we go. Sorry about that. So, again, something that's not necessarily the most common in a Hollandspiele title is a 22x34 wargame map. A lot of their maps are played on just a little bit smaller. They don't need to be quite so big, but I think the joy of these large pieces and setting this up and having the gorgeous artwork is giving it a really nice table presence. And specifically, I would like to call out that, okay, I'm going to try to read this upside down, and maybe I shouldn't, but yeah, we're going to read it upside down. It's by Kudryashov. Ilya Kudryashov is the artist, and I'm kind of blown away by the artwork in this. I love something that gives you a little bit of a period feel, but also is entirely legible and very easy to use. This is the kind of balance that I really like in a map. Especially something that's, in reality, a point-to-point block wargame map could have been very uninspiring, but they've gone the extra mile and it looks wonderful. But as you can see, you've got these towns and very large Mantua over here, but these big square areas which look like they're more hubs than these smaller circle areas. Point-to-point movement, moving your armies around, going to lay siege to Mantua. What's not to like about this? So I'm very, very excited to play this. Have been since they announced it. When it was announced, I couldn't tell that the blocks were so big. I just thought it was pictures of like normal sized blocks of block wargame. And then somehow it had eluded me that that was the case. And when Grant showed it to me, because they had this out on display with all the blocks at the Blue Panther booth at WBC, my mind was just blown. It looked so cool to have out and play on the table. And I'm hoping that this is one of those games where you can just kind of whip it out and get playing and kind of get going with it. And, you know, it's almost like a showpiece. So I hope the gameplay matches. I would expect it to, because Amabel's a really good designer. One of the best out there. You're always getting something a little bit different, a little bit innovative from her. So really, really excited for this one. So if you have any interest, Siege of Mantua from Hollandspiele, go and check it out on their website. That was kind of everything that we got in the box. So I appreciate you all very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.